An operation for a lower bowel disorder at the Alderhay Children's Hospital in Liverpool back in 1990. Our North of England correspondent Eddie Bozzio reports.
At a news conference, Karen Murray's brother Paul struggled to relate his family's sense of loss and their shock at the apparent cause of her death.
She was my sister. No other words can explain it.
19-year-old Karen Murray collapsed in Corfu last Friday. She died on the way to hospital. A post-mortem took place over the weekend, but it was only today that her family were told that a Greek coroner had removed pieces of gauze from her abdomen. Stefanos Gastoratos said the gauze, which must have come from a previous operation in England, had blocked her intestine and caused her death. This evening, her family solicitor confirmed that Karen did have an operation in a Liverpool hospital 7 years ago.
She had invasive surgery to the lower bowel at the end of 1990, approximately December 1990, for what I understand is diagnosed as Hirschsprung's disease, and that was at Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool.
The hospital has also confirmed that Karen Murray was treated there. Once her body is returned to Britain later this week, a coroner, probably from here in Southport, will begin further investigations. The coroner can order a second post-mortem and an inquiry into her medical background, including the operation she had at Alderhay Hospital. Eddie Bozzio, News at 10, Southport.
Earlier in the programme we saw
on from the cellar before it can seep into the classrooms. But the problem is widespread across Cornwall and Devon.
The action level in occupational premises is 400 becquerels per cubic metre, but we have had instances of basements measured at over 20,000. That's exceptional, but you can find properties, a number of properties, over 1,000 becquerels.
Scientists have now measured levels of radon in houses in Cornwall and Devon, where people who recently died of lung cancer used to live. When the radon detectors were analysed, the readings provided the first direct evidence of the link with lung cancer. 50,000 people live in houses where levels are so high they run an extra 20% risk of the disease.
There are 37,000 deaths from lung cancer a year in this country, of which 33,000 are attributable to smoking. But we reckon about 1,800 can be attributed to radon. Now, the interesting thing is that radon and smoking multiply each other's effects.
So the best way of youngsters in schools like this one avoiding lung cancer later in life is to persuade them never to smoke and to install equipment that will protect them against the now proven but smaller risk from radon. Lawrence McGinty, ITN.
And we're going to
the appeal this morning. A short while ago, I asked the president of the appeal, the actor Tom Conti, what hope there was of a cure.
Well, there is. I mean, but it takes a great deal of searching. And you know, the genetics is a dirty word because people, you know, in ignorance imagine all sorts of ghastly things going on with it. But that therein really does lie the answer. And if you get two people who have the mutated gene coming together and having a child, then the result is this ghastly blistering of the skin, which makes the child's life and the parent's life total, as you say, a total misery. You only have to see a photograph of one of these children to know that something has to be done, and as quickly as possible.
Yes, I've seen the brochure and I know exactly what you're talking about, but you've mentioned the genetic aspect to it. At the moment, is it not possible for people to be screened so that they know whether they're carrying this gene?
Well, because so few people have it, actually, the powers that be would say that the screening was out of the question from a financial point of view. I mean, people could individually have DNA tests to make sure that one of them wasn't carrying the gene. That there are other things, you know, like cystic fibrosis, where you could also do a screening. But I don't think that it's practical. I mean, the most practical thing would be to isolate the gene, find out what's wrong with it, and see if you can find a switch to reinsert to correct the condition.
Well, I must say I had never heard of this condition until today, and I suppose part of your task is to really publicise what the condition is and how terrible the suffering is.
Exactly. I mean, anyone who sees the pictures just immediately, you know, gets out a checkbook, and hopefully lots more people will, so that